Hello, this is Miss Castle. Today is Tuesday, April 21st, 2020, and I'm reading you James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl, illustrated by Lane Smith, and today we are in chapter 37. It was an amazing sight, and in 2 or 3 months, as soon as people realized that this now couldn't possibly be a bomb, they come pouring out of their shelters and the subways to gape at the marvel. The streets for half a mile around the building were jammed with men and women, and when the word spread that they were actually living things moving around on the top of the great round ball, everyone went wild with excitement. "It's a flying saucer!" they shouted. "They're from outer space! They're men from Mars! Or maybe they came from the moon." And a man who had a pair of binoculars to his eyes said, "They look pretty peculiar to me, I'll tell you that." Police cars and fire engines came screeching in from all over the city and pulled up outside the Empire State Building. 200 firemen and 600 policemen swarmed into the building and went up in the elevators as high as they could go. Then they poured out onto the observation roof, which is a place where tourists stand, just at the bottom of the big spike. All the policemen were holding ready with their fingers, and the firemen were clutching their hatchets. But from where they stood, almost directly underneath the peach, they couldn't actually see the travelers up on top. "Ahoy there!" shouted the chief of police. "Come out and show yourself." Suddenly, the great brown head of the centipede appeared over the side of the peach. His black eyes, as large and round as 2 marbles, glared down at the policemen and the firemen below. Then his monstrous, ugly face broke into a wide grin. The policemen and the firemen all started shouting at once. "Look out!" they cried. "It's a dragon! It's not a dragon, it's a wampus! It's a gorgon! It's a sea serpent! It's a proc! It's a manicore!" The 3 firemen and 5 policemen fainted and had to be carried away. "It's a snozwagger!" cried the chief of police. "It's a wangdoodle!" yelled the head of the fire department. The centipede kept on grinning. He seemed to be enjoying enormously the commotion that he was causing. "Now see here," shouted the chief of police, cupping his hands to his mouth. "You listen to me. I want you to tell me exactly where you've come from." "We've come from thousands of miles away," the centipede shouted back, grinning more broadly than ever and showing his brown teeth. "There you are," cried the chief of police. "I told you they came from Mars." "I guess you're right," said the head of the fire department. At this point, the old green grasshopper poked his huge green head over the side of the peach alongside the centipede's. 6 more big, strong men fainted when they saw him. "That one's an oink," screamed the head of the fire department. "I just know it's an oink." "Or a cockatrice," yelled the chief of police. "Stand back, men! It may jump down on us at any moment." "What on earth are you talking about?" the old green grasshopper said to the centipede. "Search me," said the centipede, but they seemed to be in an awful stew about something. Then Miss Spider's large black head, which to a stranger was probably the most terrifying of all, appeared next to the grasshoppers. "Snakes and ladders!" yelled the head of the fire department. "We're finished now. It's a great scorpula." "It's worse than that," cried the chief of police. "It's a venomous kind." "Oh, just look at his venomous, gruesome face." "Is that the kind that eats fully grown men for breakfast?" the head of the fire department asked, going white as a sheet. "I'm afraid it is," the chief of police answered. "Oh, please, why doesn't someone help us to get down from here? It's making me giddy." "This could be a trick," said the head of the fire department. "Does anybody make a move until I say?" "But we've got to do something," the head of the fire department announced grimly. "About 5 million people..." Ooh, this one's a long chapter. "About 5 million people are standing down there on the streets watching us." "Then why don't you put up a ladder?" the chief of police asked him. "I'll stand at the bottom and hold it steady for you, while you go up and see what's happening." "Thank you very much," said the head of the fire department. Soon there was no less than 7 large, fantastic faces peering down over the side of the peach. The centipedes, the old green grasshoppers, Miss Spiders, the earthworms, the ladybugs, the silkworms, and the glowworms. And a sort of panic was beginning to break out among the firemen and the policemen on the roof. Then all at once the panic stopped, and a great gasp of astonishment went up all around. For now a small boy was seen to be standing up there beside the other creatures. His hair was blowing in the wind, and he was laughing and waving and calling out, "Hello, everybody! Hello!" For a few moments the men below just stood and stared and gaped. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. "Bless my soul!" cried the head of the fire department, going red in the face. "It really is a little boy, isn't it? Don't be frightened of us, please. We are so glad to be here." What about those others beside you?" shouted the chief of police. "Are any of those dangerous?" "Of course they're not dangerous," James answered. "They're the nicest creatures in the world. Allow me to introduce them to you one by one, and I'm sure you will believe me. My friend is his centipede, and let me make it known. He is sweet and gentle, although he's overgrown. The Queen of Spain again and again has summoned him by phone to baby knit and sing and knit and be a chaperone when nurse is off and all the royal children are all alone." "Small wonder," said a fireman, "they're no longer on the throne." "The earthworm, on the other hand," said James, beginning to expand, "is great for digging up the land and making old soils newer. Moreover, you should understand he would be absolutely grand for digging subway tunnels and for making you a sewer." The earthworm blushed and beamed with pride. Miss Spider clapped and cheered and cried, "Could any words be truer?" And the grasshopper, lady and gents, is a boon in millions and millions of ways. You have only to ask him to give you a tune, and he plays and he plays and he plays as a toy for your children. He's perfectly sweet. There's nothing so good in the shops. You've only to tickle the soles of his feet, and he hops and he hops and he hops. "He can't be fierce," exclaimed the head of all the cops. And here's a picture of the ladybug. Where's the ladybug? Over here. All the animals are the insects on top of the peach with James. So there they all are. And now, without excuse, I'd like to introduce this charming glowworm lover of simplicity. She is easy to install on your ceiling or the wall, and although this makes a bit of eccentricity, it's really rather clever, for thereafter you will never, never have the slightest need for using electricity. At which no less than 52 policemen cried, "If this is true, this creature will get some fabulous publicity." And here we have Miss Spider with a mile of thread inside her, who has personally requested me to say that she's never met Miss Tuffet or her charming little Tuffet. If she has, she'd not have frightened her away. Should her looks sometimes alarm you, then I don't think it would harm you to repeat at least 100 times a day, "I must never kill a spider. I must only help and guide her and invite her in the nursery to play." The policemen all nodded slightly, and the firemen smiled politely, and about a dozen people cried, "Hooray!" And here my darling ladybug, so beautiful, so kind, my greatest comfort since this trip began. She has 400 children, and she's left them all behind, but they're coming on the next peach if they can. The cops cried, "She's entrancing." All the firemen started dancing, and the crowds all started cheering to a man. And now the silkworm, James went on, whose silk will bear comparison with all the greatest silks there are in Rome and Philadelphia. If you would search the whole world through, from Paraguay to Timbuktu, I don't think you would find one bit of silk that could compare with it. Even the shops in Singapore don't have this stuff, and what is more, this silkworm had, I'll have you know, the honor not so long ago to spin and weave and sew and press the Queen of England's wedding dress. And she's already made and sent a waistcoat for your president. Well, good for her, the cops cried out, and all at once a mighty shout went up around the Empire State. "Let's get them down at once, but wait!" The next chapter is 38. Oh, I'm sorry, and the last line did not say "but wait." It said "why wait?" So tomorrow we will read chapter 38. Thanks for listening.